727. Icha dvesha samutena. Icha dvesha samutena. Dvandva mohena bharata. Dvandva mohena bharata. Sarva bhutani samoham. Sarva bhutani samoham. Sargayanti parantapa. Sargayanti parantapa. O sign of Bharat, O conqueror of foe, conqueror of the foe. All living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desiring hate. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord, who is pure knowledge. When one is deluded into separation from this pure knowledge, he becomes controlled by the illusory energy and cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The illusory energy is manifested in the duality of desire and hate. Due to desire and hate, the ignorant person wants to become one with the Supreme Lord and envies Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pure devotees who are not deluded or contaminated by desire and hate can understand that Lord Sri Krishna appears by his internal potencies. But those who are deluded by duality and nescience think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is created by material energies. This is their misfortune. Such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, woman and man, good and bad, pleasure and pain, etc., thinking, this is my wife, this is my house, I am the master of this house, I am the husband of this wife. These are the dualities of delusion. Those who are deluded by dualities are completely foolish and therefore cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, O sign of Bharat, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities, arisen from desire and hate. So, immediately reading this verse comes, how do you say, comes on like a little, heavy. Like a little heavy, a little, this information is a little tough, like the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of subordination to the Supreme Lord. So whenever one thinks one has some control, that's normal. In the smallest of things, even when driving a car, sitting behind the wheel, you're in control, right? You're not in control. I mean, we're not in control. You're in this body, right? We're in this body, and I'm doing stuff. You know? We're not doing anything. We're not in control. Body is governed by stronger forces, invisible forces to our mundane eyes. We're not in control. So that's a little heavy, because it's natural to think in a conditioned mentality, which I guess I have to speak for myself at least, that is sort of the reality. Then that is the symptom, right? Prabhupada says it's such deluded persons symptomatically dwell in dualities of dishonor and honor, misery and happiness, woman, man, good, bad, pleasure, pain, etc. Like, I feel pain. There's no pain. the sense of I feeling pain is actually, it's not real. It's not that it doesn't exist. But if we say I, then it becomes wrong. If I say my body hurts, then there may be some truth to it. As soon as I feel pain, that's not it. It's our identification with the pain, with the body going through some painful experience, and we relate it to ourselves. But according to Bhagavad Gita, the I in us is not the body, it's the soul. And sometimes I heard there was this nice, we took Bhakti Shastri in India, and we had one very nice lecture. Urmila Devi Mataji, she's like a senior Prabhupada disciple. She's also a scholar and a PhD and whatnot. She's very bright. She's been teaching in Gurukul, and she's been teaching also on higher levels of education in sort of society at large. Anyway, she said something interesting. She said, this identification is very strong with something else as ourselves. So she said, it's very easy for devotees, they say, I'm not the body. Okay, that's fine. Most devotees can relate. But then they say, I'm not the mind. That's more difficult. But I mean, if you in truth can say this statement, I mean, devotees, at least they can relate. But then devotees say, I am the soul. Now, she made the point that if you say, I am the soul, then that's sort of also like a, you know, you put the soul in a category of itself, you sort of observe the soul and says, yes, I am this. That's wrong. And you hear this often, yes, I am the soul. That's a little bit weird, actually. We are souls. Huh? Not with the whole thing with the duh. When it comes into, it creates like a, that was her point. I just found it interesting. So it's easy to say, yes, yes, we have a soul. But this realization is very deep. To act on the platform of the living, like the spirit soul is a very high level. So anyway, I'll just pop into my mind. So anyway, yeah. So I found it a little heavy, you know, like in the old days, Achutananda knows that there was something when there was a Bhagavatam lecture, there was something was just called a smashing lecture. Just smash everyone, you know, rascals, nonsense. And that was sort of like a, that could be like a whole lecture, you know. That was before. Yeah. And of course we saw that some person giving such lectures, with time, they may not have entirely realized their statements, because we saw that they somehow maybe stepped down from their positions. But still, it was a term, smashing lecture. Oh, that was another smashing lecture. So I felt that this was sort of a little like a smashing verse, you know, like, because it deals with things like delusion, bewilderment, desire and hate, especially hate, you know, hatred is a strong word. But I have that kind of mental conditioning that I like to turn things, you know, around, to see them from a positive side. Like there's this saying, there's two sides to a coin. In Norwegian we say, like, the you have both the front side and then the back side of the medal, you know. Right? Sometimes, you know, you say, oh yeah, oof, that was the back side of the medal. You know, it's like a saying. But I try to focus on the front side, which is not so easy always. Anyway, so I could really relate to this. Sort of, if we look past sort of the smashing aspect and just look at the information a little objectively, like a neutral, then it is quite recognizable. Because we read Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada said, yes, you should read. It is the ABC of spiritual life. It's very important. All the Vedas, the conclusions are within the pages. Krishna is speaking directly. But yeah, you can read it, you know, but it's difficult to get into. It's difficult to. It's a little challenging to be a devotee, to sort of turn your back on mundane society and the material world and take the step into the realm of spiritual life. It's a challenge. So in that connection, it is actually like a breath of fresh air when, especially when Krishna and Prabhupada, when they speak and give, and the information they give is practical. Sometimes it's a little esoteric, you know, it's food for thought, it's philosophy, but sometimes they give practical information. And that is very valuable, at least like in the beginning stages, I guess, for most of us. So this is it. The symptoms of being in the material world is as follows. That one sort of dwells in the mind. I guess when it says dwell, it means that we sort of, it's like a meditation. Honor and dishonor, misery, happiness, woman, man, good, bad, pleasure, pain. And I think we can relate, you know? We all felt some pain, some more, some less. We all felt some, I guess, some happiness. When we were a kid, we had birthday, you know. It was nice, presents and the cake and, you know, like that. So we can relate. I mean, it gives a meaning. And meaning, an understanding, that gives realizations, Prabhupada would call it, that gives faith. Faith is Shraddha, that's the beginning of the process. So that is very important. So I just thought that instead of just, you know, oh, delusion, oh, it's delusion, we're bewildered, hey, we're, you know, desire and hate. What it is not so important. What is important is that it's giving, you know, it's like we can relate and we can see, yes, this is actually true, you know. And it's actually very simple. These are the basics of life: happiness, stress, woman, man. So we should be. It's actually very nice. Prabhupada would always. He was a master of sort of boiling things down to the essence, and then serving that essence out on a very like simple but very palatable dish, you know. So you could receive it, and you could take it, and you could digest it. So that's important. Prabhupada, of course, was that is not on, on our level. He's on the highest level of devotion. This is acknowledged in the scriptures. And there's an interesting point that, just to strengthen that faith, our faith in Prabhupada is that there's like a quote, I don't know from where, I don't remember the entire verse, but from my understanding it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is speaking, and he's making a prophecy. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he played the role of a devotee, right? So he would not make many prophecies. He would just, serve as devotee, do kirtan and preach. But a few times he would speak, sort of revealing his true position as the Supreme. And he said this, I don't remember the verse, but I remember that one word which struck me very deep. Basically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that because he had given this, first he gave this one prophecy, the chanting of Hare Krishna will spread to every town and village on the planet. But he preached only in India, right? South India, then Jagannath Puri, of course Navadvip Mayapur Navadvip in his sort of youthful pastimes. Then he traveled South India, and then stationed in Puri. In Puri he basically stayed and went crazy, stayed by himself, chanted a lot, and sort of went into the deepest trance. So how would this become true? How would it spread? Because he didn't spread it, right? Then Mahaprabhu said, I will send someone who will come in the future. And he used this very special word. That is the word I remember from the verse. It's called Senapati Bhakta. My Senapati Bhakta. And Prabhupada translated this as my commander-in-chief, my general. I will send my general, and he will do everything. He will liberate everyone on my behalf. And senior devotees have confirmed that this Senapati Bhakta is Srila Prabhupada. And we see that the acharyas, especially Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Gaurkishore Bharati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji, they all realized if you read the biographies which are available, they all realized their spiritual forms in their lifetime. And they gave it expression. They're all manjaris, the highest caliber of devotees. But Prabhupada never spoke about this. And all the previous acharyas before him for the last 200 years, they spoke about this. Prabhupada never spoke. So his identity is somewhat of a mystery. All these Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we know who they are on the spiritual map. They're circled. Prabhupada is not. But there's this one. All we know is this Senapati Bhakta, the general. His position is very high, very, very high. The general is for the emperor. Like if you read Mahabharata or Ramayana, then the general, he is one who has, on whom the emperor has great trust. Because it means something else. And actually, Prabhupada's godbrothers, when they heard, because in the beginning, Prabhupada was just addressed as Swamiji, you know, the Swami. But then, after some time, the devotees, when they were reading the books, then they said, Swamiji, maybe we should call him Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada called his own spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta, he called him Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, yes, this is actually correct. But then when his godbrothers heard in India, there was a lot of discussion. And they were very heavy with Srila Prabhupada for taking this title. But then, in Vrindavan in 77 November, when Prabhupada was leaving, concluding his earthly pastimes, they all came. And they said, it was actually true. You are the Acharya. When Bhaktisiddhanta left, there was so much quarrel in the Gaudiya Math, and they decided they had at least 2 candidates for becoming the new Acharya. But there was it ended up like in a court case, and it was split, you know, split apart. But then at the end they came and said, you are the Acharya. Even Sridhar Maharaj, a very exalted devotee, you can ask Yudhisthira Prabhu. Sridhar Maharaj is very special. Yudhisthira Prabhu, what does he say? He is the inner guru, right? So, and he also said, he came to Prabhupada's room in Mayapur and he said, you are the Acharya. There's no doubt. So this is a very strong statement from the Vaishnavas. So, yeah. So we can have faith. So when Prabhupada speaks, we should not be discouraged. I mean, Krishna speaks. I personally, I can read Krishna's words, but I mean, of course, I have it in my mind that Krishna is speaking, but I relish the purports more. This is, you know, this is Prabhupada. So that is. So we should have faith. Whatever he's speaking as that kind father giving advice to the children. It's not meant as discouragement. It's meant for our elevation, actually. So when he gives these things, we should just try to see it as truth. It's called Shastra Chakshush. You see with the eyes of the scripture. When Prabhupada is speaking this, we should try to see it, try to understand how it is true, not just delusion, hatred. That's the lower stages. We should try to rise above that and embrace the beauty of Prabhupada's instructions. Right? And if we are soul, it's fun. There's a nice Prabhupada disciple, Yudhisthira Prabhu from Germany. Prasada. Yes. He's coming soon. Yeah. Anyway, Yudhisthira Prabhu, so he speaks very good English, but he has this German accent, right? So he was giving a class, and he was really hammering in this point, you know. You are soul! You are soul! But he was hammering this guy in the audience, you know. And this guy became completely bewildered because it heard like he was saying something different, you know. You are soul!
You asshole.
He was like, you are soul! You are soul! And he was like, he misunderstood, you know. That's the truth. We are soul. We're not the mind. We're not the body. We're not the soul. We are soul. We are soul. And then these things, you know, desire, hate, mystery, happiness, woman, man. On the level of the soul, it's not so important. We can act in any role, pleasurable, painful, female, male, then it becomes transcendental. Huh? I mean, I also had like some difficulties with my mind, you know. I went to therapist, he was digging deep, you know, we were going through all these sessions, I was, you know, but you have to go on. And that's the, I mean, that's the platform of the soul, to go on. That's actually, that's the definition of sannyas, you know. My Guru Maharaj said that, what is sannyas? What does it really mean? If every people of the world turned away from Krishna consciousness, you would still go on. Huh? That's the devotee, because he does it for Krishna, you know? So then these things, pleasure, pain, and all things there, you can't survive. It's not that it's not painful, and we've all experienced it. But
Okay.
So we made some simple prasadam. I'm serving? Or?
Well, you're helping carrying the bucket out.
Okay, the bucket.